The Wonderful 101 may be the most platinum of all the Platinum games, if you're following my meaning here. It's directed by Hideki Kamiya, who is the master. He's worked on incredible games like Beautiful Joe, Devil May Cry, Resident Evil. Of course, he has helped to oversee all of the incredible Platinum Games titles that have come out. Bayonetta was his baby. Worked on Astral Chain. Platinum Games was able to get the rights back to bring out the Wonderful 101, which didn't get the attention it deserved on the Wii U. It's a very clever superhero experience, unlike any superhero game you've probably played before. It's a team-up game, I guess in the grandest sense, because what you're doing in here, kind of Pikmin style or Pokemon style, is you're collecting and recruiting different individuals to be a part of your superhero team, your menagerie. And you've got different lead superheroes like Wonder Red or Wonder Blue, Wonder Pink or Wonder Green, and each one of these leaders has the ability to transform the group into a weapon of some kind, whether it's a gun or a whip or a long sword or even a gauntlet or a hand that is able to kind of turn different objects or pry open things or pull different things. And what happens is that all of these different little itty-bitty people who become superheroes once you recruit them are able to kind of morph together into these creations, and it's really cool. There's also the ability to transform into a ball or a rocket ship or a kind of a slinky toy that's able to go quickly across the distance of the environment. Lots of really, really slick visual effects in here. It's overwhelming. This is a game that you will play through the training areas, I think, a couple of times just to kind of see all of the minutiae and to see all of the details, because there is a lot of information coming at you. The production is over the top crazy and a little campy. The heroes are all kind of playing to the camera and doing crazy things, but there's lots of little details coming at you. Details about using these sub-screens, because you can actually see on your radar screen where all of the different people are. You can choose the different weaponry items that you want to employ. There's a cooking system in here. You're finding all of these space plants, space peppers and space carrots and things, and you're throwing them into a pot, and you'll be able to make some of the power-ups that you're able to uncover or purchase along the way. There's a market where you're able to acquire new skills, like the ability to turn your line, the line that you use to create weapons, or to scoop up individuals and recruit them. You'll be able to use that as an offensive weapon as well. And the way that you're able to transform into these weapons or to kind of create that net to capture everybody in is you use the right analog thumbstick. And it's a little bit tricky and not as easy as it was to just draw shapes on the Wii U touchscreen. There is a way to implement that on the PlayStation 4 touchpad. I couldn't quite make that seamlessly work because you're pressing in on the touchpad and you're pressing to sort of pop up menus. So there was a lot of fiddly bits. When I was playing it on the Switch, obviously you can have some touchscreen interaction with the Switch if you're in portable mode, but I was playing it on the big screen TV and just using the right analog thumbstick to make a circle, which would make the gauntlet, or to draw the straight line to make the sword, or draw a wavy line to make the whip, or kind of a curved 90-degree angle to create the gun. And I was just pulling off these moves relatively easily by using the right analog thumbstick, but it's something to kind of remember, because you pull off the motion of creating and drawing your object into shape, but then you also have to remember what button to use for that object, because you're using the A button to activate the thing, and then you're using the A button to use it to either swing your sword or shoot your bullets. And then you're using the other buttons because you still have mobility, and you still have actually a lot more mobility and a lot more in your sort of offensive arsenal when you're not in the shape of a giant gun or a giant sword. You can just be this group of people running over and terrorizing one of the giant monsters that you might encounter along the way just by tapping on the Y button and the X buttons. You can also speed up by pressing a button as a group, and you can flash across the screen. There's also weapons that the enemies will drop, and you'll be able to pick those up. So what I'm trying to tell you here, in a kind of somewhat messy way, because some of the systems and the mechanics in the game are a little bit messy, is that there is a lot to contend with. There's a lot of different ways that you can approach every conflict that you're going to run into with whether there's sort of medium-sized bad guys that you're taking out or some of the big epic boss fights that you're going to get into. There are some quick-time event-style things where you have to tap on buttons or change into a form relatively quickly, like a glider shape, so that you can fly across these buildings that are getting toppled over. You know, what's funny is you're superheroes, but the amount of destruction that happens and the amount of regular citizens that are in harm's way is insane. People are on top of burning buildings. They'll have giant trucks fall down on them. What's also really impressive with this game is obviously that sense of scale has to be created, so the camera's pulled back and you're very itty-bitty. You and your collection of other heroes are very small, but you do have the ability to zoom in somewhat, but you also want to be able to see what you're about to get into, and you can just see the scale of destruction, but there's also all of these really well-tuned cut sequence bits and story bits where the camera's whipping around all over the place and we're meeting all of the different characters that are part of the wonderful Double O's, and it's really damn charming.
Wonderful 100. All aboard on the double.
It does feel like the game is screaming at you with information and character introductions and, you know, bad guys popping out all over the place and giant bosses that blow up into little pieces. And so it's a lot. This game is a lot, but it also delivers a lot, and it's very, very addictive to play. And once you do get some of those loops and those mechanics down, you feel quite wonderful. This is a game that quickly earns that moniker that's actually in the title, and I wonder if that was deliberate. That does seem like something that Platinum would consider beforehand. There are some really cool puzzle sequences where you've got to use your different forms to unlock boxes that will give you loot, or you'll find little collectibles or little figures. The operations that are scattered across the map are very, very lengthy, and they're very replayable because you can go back and attack with different strategies, different forms, and you're going to be constantly acquiring new abilities as you work your way through the single-player portion of the game. I played some of the multiplayer with my daughter, and we were having a very good time with it as well. And also scales up because there's a lot of little characters and lots of giant bosses, but you can play up to 5 people at a time, and so there is just a ton of chaos on screen. It ran fine for me on the Nintendo Switch. I didn't really notice the frame rate drops. It just looked much shinier, I felt, when I was playing it on the PlayStation 4 Pro. I felt more at home playing it on the Switch, though. I mean, it's clearly a loving homage to the superhero genre and to comic books and all that, so there's a lot to dig into with the mythology and the storytelling and all the fun little winks that Hideki Kamiya and his team put into this game. So I kind of feel like it's a better fit on the Switch, so you can play it at home on the big screen for a bit and share it with people, but then also take it out. Well, nobody's going out, but if one could go out with their Nintendo Switch, I feel like it's a great fit there. But honestly, this is a game that should be played anywhere, and it sure scales up in shininess and reflective beauty. It's crazy, it's insane, it's very self-aware, the sense of humor, but the stakes seem high. It does feel like there is a lot of danger. Just the fact that Wonder Red is kind of like this school teacher in real life, and he's got to save kids. I really dug it, man. There's a lot of cool details in this game, and I can certainly say that if the sales are there and people do find this game, and I'm so happy that it now has a much broader spectrum, many more opportunities for people to find this game, but if people do, then I think the chances are pretty good that we're going to get a sequel to this, which would be great. The wonderful 101 Remastered is definitely one to check out, especially if you're a hyper fan of Platinum Games like I am. I'm going to give it an 8.5 out of 10.